Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, with our queer news for today. Now, I want to make you a promise. We will continue to bring you the latest in queer news, culture, and politics. So if you're digging our intersectional take on the weekly, consider joining the QCrew. The QCrew is our monthly membership program we started to help grow this podcast. You get weekly emails from me and exclusive interviews with LGBTQ influencers from across the country. With your support, we can bring you more stories celebrating our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and comrade communities. This month, our exclusive interview for the QCrew is with Angie Harvey. Angie is a dear friend of mine and a woman on a mission to help tell our stories. Her documentary, Black Rainbow Love, was her introduction to film, and it's already won 13 awards and is making its international debut. If you want to watch this said exclusive interview, you have to join the QCrew. As always, the link is in the show notes. Family, Queer News is now a weekly podcast. My goal is to build the team up so we can properly execute a daily pod. But until then, a new episode will drop every Monday at 7 a.m. Chicago time. So if you enjoy what you hear, please leave us a review. It would be the best holiday gift. And thank you for being on the Queer News journey with us. Now for the news. Today marks the 276th day Brittney Griner has been wrongfully detained, and we still don't know where she is at this very moment. Another mass shooting has left the LGBTQ community devastated, while we honor our trans fam on Trans Day of Resilience. Let's go.
You are now tuned in to higher frequencies. We do this frequently. Turn your radio station to E3 for that decency. Listen to great music and the latest movement. Safe listening for anyone that's tuned in. Who you waking up to? Anna DeShawn, QCrew and friends. It's that real talk. Online radio with the spins. You caught up in traffic, frustrated. Just check in with E3 to shift your vibrations and get elevated. That's queer radio done right. Choose to be yourself. That's the only way to live life, and that's how it's done here. Just know y'all tuned in to the greatest. Ain't no competition. We ain't worried about the other stations. Check.
So today I thought I was going to be talking about Trans Day of Resilience, and I thought I'd be talking about the Respect for Marriage Act, because that was a big win, what's happening there. And you know, the L Word premiere, Beyonce getting 9 Grammy nods, Wakanda Forever at #1. And did you also hear about Democrat Karen Bass becoming the first female mayor of LA? I mean, there have been some major wins all around and at the intersections of all my identities, okay? And I can't say that all the time. And yet, here we are today, having to give time to another mass shooting. This time in Colorado Springs, this time it was Club Q, and this time 5 people have lost their lives and 25 are injured. Like, when is enough enough? When will politicians stop taking NRA money and really think about the impact the use of guns are having in our communities? It's simply ignorance that keeps us from making meaningful change in this country. Yes, I get it, okay? People pull the triggers, not the guns, but people are products of their environments. So, if you can't control or fix or improve an individual's environment, then we must control the tools they are using to harm others who have done them no harm at all. So, let's get into what I know so far. Actually, what we know so far. We know the gunman is 22 years old, and his name is Anderson Lee Aldrich. I think this is incredibly important to say his age, because for some reason, we continue to think that these gunmen are old white men. We have these ideas in our head that racism is an old people's notion, but racism and homophobia and transphobia, anti-Semitism and xenophobia and sexism, these are all learned behaviors. These ideas are things that are taught, and if we aren't teaching our children differently, this will not be the last mass shooting that I report on. And with all that said, let me digress and get back to the facts of what we know. They say when he entered the building, he started shooting right away, that no one even had a moment to think, a moment to move differently. He just immediately opened fire with a rifle. People inside the club and in the area started calling the police, right? And they report receiving numerous 911 calls starting around 11:56 p.m. The police were dispatched at 11:57 p.m. and arrived at 12:02 a.m. So much happened in those 6 minutes. Time moves so slowly when something so tragic and devastating is happening. 5 people were killed in those 6 minutes. 25 people were injured. And family. 2 heroic patrons of Club Q disarmed the gunman, y'all. Took the gun and hit him on the head with it. They literally saved lives. Now let's talk about Club Q. Club Q opened in 2002, 20 years ago. And it was the only LGBTQ club in Colorado Springs until recently. Like, this is the spot. And honestly, being the only gay bar isn't that big of a surprise. I mean, I live in Chicago, and there are only a handful of LGBTQ bars here in the big city. And what I found is that this is pretty normal across the country. And so Club Q was the spot. And that was no secret. It was known as a safe haven for many, and they had been hosting a lot of trans events around Trans Awareness Week and this whole entire month. They have all types of events, drag shows, celebrations. I mean, they had created a community, and now this tragedy has landed at their doorsteps. It's all so heartbreaking for these families and this community. I mean, family, if we aren't safe in our own clubs, I'm telling you right now, we are not safe at all. As the story continues to unfold, of course, I will continue reporting on it. If you aren't following me on TikTok, go ahead and do that. If you aren't following me on IG, go ahead and do that. I'll be posting updates there in between now and the next episode of the Queer News Podcast. And all of this is happening as we close out Transgender Awareness Week with Trans Day of Resilience. Now, you may also know it as Trans Day of Remembrance. Some folks are reclaiming it and rewording it because there is a resilience needed to live out here in the world as your authentic self. If y'all remember earlier this year, I did a lot of coverage around my comrade, Elise Mallory. She meant a lot to us here in Chicago, a whole lot. She was such a beautiful spirit, and she did so much work around trans rights here in the city of Chicago. So much so, the LGBTQ Mayor's Council, which I do sit on, was able to work with Chicago Therapy Collective to get a resolution passed in Elise's honor around the initiative of Hire Trans Now. There's a link in the show notes where you can learn more about this initiative. But I got to sit in the box at City Council and hear all the alders talk about Elise because they knew her, because she was an advocate, because she was fighting on behalf of the most marginalized, of the most underrepresented. She was a leader in our community. She was fierce, y'all. And today I remember her and all of our other trans fam who have lost their lives this past year. Now, what I want to do is read all the names, but I also want you all to know that Trans Day of Resilience marks the birth date of Rita Hester. She's a Black transgender woman who was murdered in 1998. Gwendolyn Ann Smith, a transgender activist, started TDOR in honor of her friend Rita. And I also want to say that although we will never know how many trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming individuals have been murdered, because many hate crimes are not reported, we can speak the names of those we do know. And there have been 70 here in the U.S. And so today we remember Royal, El Choi, Mel, Tata, Jesse, Joe, Joy, Ricky, Jenny, Markeisha, Danielle, Angel, Haley, Nakia, Martina, Zanaya, Kiana, Amelia, Nikki, Amare, Duval, Destiny, Matthew, Naomi, Cypress, Paloma, Brent, Milo, Catherine, Elise, Tatiana, Quinn, Keisha, Kai, Maya, Ariana, Fern, Ace, Keena, Asher, Ray, Ruby, Michelle, Sasha, Nedra, Maddie, Dee Dee, Shanika, Rexy, Paris, Brazil, Sean Main, Kitty, Cherry, Jasper, Jimmy, Martasia, Toy, Keisha, Camila, Marcella, Kimbella, AC, Dee Dee, Samaj, and Serena. We speak your names today. We speak your names today. I think we can all just take a deep breath together. As we close, I want y'all to love on those who love you. We are in the midst of holiday season. It's a time that's not easy for so many of us. So show kindness, give some grace, hug on the ones you love, okay? Because we all we got. Till next week, peace.